Mjolnir has proven to be one of the most powerful weapons in the entire arsenal of the MCU, with Thor being the one to use it the most so far. However, not everyone can wield it, only those who are worthy, as Odin said. But on the other hand, a surprising number of people besides Thor have wielded his mighty hammer over the years, many of which are unworthy. And today, we are going to talk about just that, some of the most unworthy characters to wield Mjolnir. Enjoy! Red Hulk. The best example of someone harnessing Mjolnir's power by abusing the laws of physics has to be the Red Hulk, who had two methods for lifting the hammer in the first place. The first method was fairly clever on his side. He overpowered Thor while still holding the handle of Mjolnir and using his strength to wield it, ensuring that Odinson has his hands on the hammer, making him technically do the heavy lifting while Red Hulk taking over. The second method with which the Red Hulk was able to use Mjolnir was much more shocking, which happened when the struggles of him and Thor shifted into orbit, and Red Hulk taking advantage of the weightless environment to negate the hammer's immense magical mass and swing it with ease. Deadpool. People say that if there is even a slightly scarier prospect than Mjolnir's powers winding up with Deadpool, then they don't want to hear it. Predictably, when the Mark with the Mouth found himself wielding the hammer, chaos quickly ensued. However, it later transpired that the hammer was actually a fake one of many knockoffs to crop up over the years. This imitation of Mjolnir still granted the same powers to Wade Wilson, just like the real Mjolnir granted all the powers and abilities of the God of Thunder himself, right down to the fact of granting Deadpool a cape and winged headgear. However, being a fake one, you don't have to be worthy to wield it. Awesome Android. There is undeniably goofy charm that underpins the rationality behind Awesome Android's ability to lift and harness the power of Mjolnir. Awesome Andy, the sentient robot, doesn't really deserve this rare honor if we base it on his personal attributes. However, thanks to his abilities to duplicate quality of others, he was able to replicate Thor's worthiness and lay a valid claim on the Odinson's trademark weapon, despite him being unworthy no matter the angle you take on it. This proved to be a fun circumnavigation of the undermining of Odin's mystical mojo, especially via cheap physics-based or grammatical loopholes. Thus, in Thor's absence, his Mjolnir lifting credentials would evaporate, making his status of being unworthy of lifting the hammer a no-brainer. Rogue. Many casual fans would think the spell put on Mjolnir is sexist. However, we would like to point out that several women have been depicted as worthy over the years. That said, there is even one female character who has been deemed unworthy on several occasions, but was still able to heft this divine gavel, and that female character is X-Men's Rogue. The exception to the spell put on the Mjolnir by Odin appears in an issue of What If, where after Rogue touches the hammer, because of her mutant abilities, she is able to absorb another person's skills, memories, and the very essence is shown to encompass whatever it is that makes Thor himself worthy to wield Mjolnir. Put in short, copying his very existence and mimicking his presence when holding the Mjolnir. Ragnarok. We can all agree that no list would ever be complete without one evil clone presented. And today, we have Ragnarok, Thor's deranged cyborg doppelganger created by Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, and Ant-Man in order to replace a then MIA Thor. With Ragnarok initially using a facsimile of Mjolnir, which mimicked the powers of the original. However, fast forwarding a few years, and thus foe God of Thunder found himself banished to an alternate reality, in which he qualifies as worthy to lift the actual hammer of Thor. However, it is still unknown how such an obvious nutcase could meet Odin's supposedly stringent criteria, besides the fact that he suddenly became worthy in some twisted reality, while being unworthy at the same time. Enraged. One thing that should be clear by now is that the spell surrounding Thor's hammer isn't exactly difficult to counter it, hoodwink it. This was never more apparent than when Enraged, the younger brother of the Odinson's enemies, the Enchanters 3, used sorcery to usurp control over the Mjolnir. Enraged, interestingly enough, was more concerned with messing up with Thor's head rather than his considerable power, which eventually manifested in several different ways, one including preventing Mjolnir from returning to Thor's hand and causing it to become lodged in a wall. Now, technically, this is not wielding the hammer, but rather meddling with it. And despite him not having the ability to catch it, Enracht was able to feel it with ease, making him sufficient enough to qualify for this list as one of the unworthy characters who wielded Mjolnir. The Hulk. The Hulk's inability to lift Mjolnir, despite him being one of the strongest characters in the Marvel Universe, has undoubtedly caused the Green Goliath a lot of frustrations. After all, being able to shake planets with your blows and still not being able to lift one simple hammer can be kind of hard to accept. However, we don't want to give you a false impression. The Hulk has been able to declare hammer time on multiple occasions. Most notably was the time when he faced down Thanos, the big battle in the Marvel Universe, where similarly, like what Red Hulk did, he also used Thor's hand on the hammer, swinging both of them with his pure strength alone, ensuring the worthiness criteria met, despite being unworthy. Roger Norville. Even a cameraman was granted Thor's powers when Thor was filming a documentary for Asgard, and a crew member, Roger "Red" Norville, was left eager for revenge. Seems like Loki never misses a chance to mess with his brother. He used his fiendish magic on Roger, even giving him the worthiness to wield Mjolnir. Norville quickly proved himself an unfit bearer of the Odinson's hammer, causing all sorts of trouble before finally coming to his senses and heroically sacrificing himself for the greater good. The best thing about this whole situation was that not only Loki, but Odin too was behind these shenanigans. Rick Jones. One of the most confusing things is reading a storyline involving alternate timelines and versions of characters, especially trying to explain it, but we will try nonetheless. Basically, the Ultimate Marvel Universe sidekick, Rick Jones, came across two future variants of himself, one good and one evil, as it would be any different. One hailing from the popular future Imperfect claimed that he was capable to control Mjolnir, something his present-day self is incapable of doing, confirming that worthiness is something characters earn and are not born with. Thus, future Imperfect Rick Jones claimed to have done so at some point in his yesterday, our tomorrow, resulting in the fact that he was both worthy and unworthy of Thor's power at the same time. Loki. Loki obviously lacks the inherent qualities needed to wield Mjolnir, given that he is the god of evil, right? Well, this was not enough to stop him from trying to lay claim to the hammer over the years. And surprisingly, enough one of Loki's most successful efforts of wielding the hammer came without any treachery on his part. When Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch accidentally cast a spell that caused the moral alignment of several heroes, Loki found himself a newly noble character, qualifying worthy of Mjolnir, harnessing the powers in the weapon when he faced off against the now wicked god of thunder, before Scarlet Witch reverted the spell's effects. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, which character in this video has been the biggest surprise to you and why? And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you would like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.